schedule it.
Yeah, and you have to, it's okay to take a break during the day when your kids are down, you take a nap. Don't feel guilty about that. I think some moms just feel like guilty because their husband's at work and they can't stop. I've heard, wasn't a problem for me. So to take a break and take some time out. One thing my mom always did, now she had 4 boys and then me. And I remember it, my eldest brother, who Lee's married to, remembers, before my dad came home, she would run back to the bathroom. And she'd come back with perfume and lipstick on. Just that little thing. She would go and she would just be ready for Dad when he walked in the door. Not a big deal, but she did that, and they were married 65 years. And so she just did little things to show that she appreciated him, that she still loved for him to pursue her. When my mom got close to the end of her life, she couldn't do a whole lot. She still wore her silky pajamas, her lipstick, and perfume to bed. And my dad would come around the side of the bed, tuck her in, and kiss her. And they did that all those years, and it takes a lot of effort. I mean, who wants to put silky pajamas on after you've been with the kids all day? But she just made a point. And one of the things she told me after I had Beth was, if you and Russ are in an intimate moment, don't stop when the baby starts to cry. Just don't say, okay, and go. And it doesn't have to be, just maybe you're sitting there talking, just kissing, whatever, but just don't stop and go. Oh, the baby's crying. And then, but that's where our minds and our hearts go, because it's new and you want to check on that baby and all. That's one thing she told me. She says, don't, let him know that he's still number one, because that's who you're left with when they are gone. And you want to, no, you're together. I mean, that's who you have, right? Who else do you have in your house besides your mother? I know. But you want to be friends still. You want to still be intimate with each other. So just tidbits from Grandma Betty.
Another question is, how can I be a good wife without being resentful?
Kind of along the same lines.
It's a choice. You choose. And I don't know, to think about what are you resentful about? That you have to stay home and that he goes to work? It's just as hard out there. It's just as hard. And all that they're dealing with. So it's a choice. It's easy to get resentful because the same thing, dealing with babies and no sleep and all that is really hard. Really hard. And their life looks so much better. They get to get dressed and put, nice clothes on in the morning and leave with a cup of coffee in their hand. So it's a choice, and you kind of try to put your feet in their shoes. How hard it is, and the responsibility that a man carries is huge. And we need to honor that and help them through that. That's not to say that your feelings aren't true, because it is hard. But again, you have to choose joy and where God's planted you at this time.
We sometimes will read a book together, a book that we both want to, like a marriage book. One we have done together is called How We Love, and this really helped discover your lifestyle and enhance your marriage. Even has a workbook. We never got to the workbook, but this was one that we read together as a couple. And what I mean by that is we would actually sit in bed together, and he'd read a page, and then I'd read a page out loud and discuss it. That kind of thing. That was just a little time that we created together, and I always look forward to that. So to do a study together of some kind. If you haven't done the 5 love languages, this is also another really good one to read and find out how your husband really likes to be loved. Maybe you like to be loved by someone taking care of things. Maybe you like having service, things done for you. But what he really enjoys is words of appreciation. And you might keep giving out what you think he likes or wants or needs, and he's not able to completely feel loved because it's a different love language. So that's one idea I have. Okay.
One thing is I have Netflix. I don't know if any of y'all have access to that, but two movies that would be great for you to watch, and you'll enjoy them as much as your husband. One is When the Game Stands Tall. It's a true story of this high school coach in Texas who's still alive today and still teaching. And it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. Wonderful with a great moral, plot that you will just, and your husband and you will both enjoy it. And it's something you could show to your kids. Not the little ones, they wouldn't care, but when you get into like early teens and stuff, they're a great movie. The other is The 100-Foot Journey. Absolutely the cute, did you see that? It was absolutely the cutest movie. No sex, no bad language, it just, what, did you see it? Did you see it? Oh, it's a great movie.
I did see it, but my husband hated it.
Oh, well, I thought it was great. Anyway, but, just sometimes just doing things, after your kids are in bed, just get out whatever beverage you like to drink and...
One thing that has helped me, and I have to work on this so often, is to continually remind myself that he and I are one, and that my support of him is helping him fulfill God's call in his life, just as much as him loving me is helping me fulfill my call. And that helps a little bit, especially these last few months when he's been very sick. My mother's broke her hip, and so it's been real hard for me at times to just run from Ward A to Ward B, taking care of them. But I realize that as I help him get better, he can begin to get back engaged in what God's calling him to do, and so that helps me not to be resentful.
We're going to have to switch categories real quickly here, and I know this is the one you've all been waiting for, managing children's behavior. Okay, we don't have a lot of time. This one asks how to get a child to stop screaming in public. All right?
My 4-year-old daughter wanted an orange sucker at Shoney's, and nobody knows Shoney's. Okay. Anyway, they didn't have orange, they had red, and so she dropped to the floor, kicking and screaming, and the tantrum of all tantrums. So my husband picked her up, threw her over his shoulder, and walked out. Now that for us worked. Just get him away from the situation.
One of the things that Have a New Kid by Friday by Dr. Kevin Lehman, I wrote on your resource page. You don't let them have B until A is done. So they can't move on to the next thing. So you don't get to finish grocery shopping, or you don't get to finish the mall, or whatever. If they're going to act that way, then you leave. They don't get to finish or go on to the next thing until it's done.
What if they just scream for no reason? There's usually a reason.
No, manipulation is a great reason to scream.
Because it works. They do it because it works.
It's working. What is your response?
What I used to do with my boys is before we got out of the car, I said, this is what we're doing. We're going to the grocery store, and this is what I want you to do. Your job is to sit in the car and eat your snack, and I would always give them a snack while we were shopping. And then after a while, I got cards, and I would cut out labels of items that we would be, before they could read. And I would have little cards that they would flip through and look for the Oikos yogurt or whatever, so they could look for the label and try to help me find it on the shelf. So it was a little something for them to do while they're grocery shopping. Keep them in the glove box of your car so you've got them when you need to go grocery shopping. It helps them learn too. It's an early reading kind of thing. Anyway, he might think that's what he's supposed to do when he gets to the cart screaming if he's done it for so many times, but you have to break that habit. I will, Cameron, this is your one warning. If you continue to scream, we're leaving. And then you have to leave.
I just wanted to add that I just all the time. I found to figure out that allergies, especially when they're in the car, when their stomach hurts, because the way.
They had allergies when they were little, so they screamed constantly in the
car. And everybody's like, oh, if you wanted to sleep, put them in the car. I'm like, oh no, please don't make me go in the car. Because they're just gonna scream until they puke. So I finally figured out they had allergies. And the way that the car seat would make them sit would hurt their bellies. And that's why they scream so much. So there could be a reason even when you don't think that there might be.
Might be tired.
Okay. Another question we had was how to help boys that are potty training that have fear. In parentheses, especially poop. Nancy?
Yeah, I researched this one because I didn't know. So according to, okay, there's, one of the things is we don't want to get angry. So how you respond to them not going poo on the pot, you don't want to get angry. You don't want to make it an emotional thing. And I added, they will do it before they go to college. So it's all good. That sensation of going number 2 is different on the potty than it is in your pants. So the sensation is different. The squish, they like it. Where also the flushing away, they feel like they're flushing away a part of them. Can be traumatic. Whatever. So if they do go in their pants, go together to the potty and flush it. As you wipe the poo away, talk about next time what they will do. This is the internet, okay? Plenty of food, fluids, fiber-rich food, exercise. Potty first in the AM and 30 minutes after meals. That's usually the sensation of eating and then digesting will produce a BM. So also be thinking about constipation. If they have a recent constipation bout and then it turned painful. If they've gone poo and now they're not, maybe they were constipated and now it hurts. So take that into account too.
My son liked to decorate himself with his, so I don't have an answer for that.
A friend of mine, their kids were really scared of public toilets because they're so loud. So she would carry sticky notes in her purse and put a sticky note over the scanner thing that makes the toilet
Auto flush.
the auto flush thing, and covered up with a sticky note while they were sitting there. And then when they got out of the little stall, then she would let the toilet flush because it was so scary for them. So I would myself have trouble finding the sticky notes, but that worked for her. Okay, another question. How to teach your children to have an inside voice. I have tried demonstrating this, but it's not working. My 2-year-old is very loud.
Actually, I would say have their ears checked again, because it may be that they don't realize they're that loud. But if it is truly a problem, then, make sure when you're talking to them, you lower your voice, and then they're going, what? And that will further emphasize how tones should be. And I actually got that from somebody else. I didn't have that problem with John. But the first thing is to have them check, because sometimes they don't even know. If they have a hearing problem, then they don't know that they're being loud. They think they're being normal. So, but then you can, my thought was you can gauge that, because are they listening to you, or are they understanding what you're saying in a low voice? But anyway.
I said to check your hearing. Because if they're constantly doing it, just kind of assess where they're doing it and how often.
And I also know that there are medical reasons there are medical reasons that cause children to act like that. And so there are other evaluations that you can have done as well, because sometimes it's an emotional thing.
Okay, similar questions. How do you get a 3-year-old to listen? How do you handle whining? Whining.
Not allowed. It was not allowed. So you have to restate what you want to say in an appropriate way. So it just wasn't allowed.
I don't hear it, is what I say. I can't hear you when you're whining. I turn my ears off, I say. And when you want to speak in a big boy voice, then I can hear you. Oh, I hear you now, Levi. You asked if whatever. Sometimes I use that, make it a little fun, because they whine because it works. Because it's worked over time, unfortunately, and it's hard to undo, but you can undo it. If you, again, set the parameters, what you kind of ways you expect them to speak to you. With respect.
One thing that I've noticed with James and Olivia, taking care of them, and of course, you see all these shows with Super Nanny and Dr. Phil and all these stuff like this, and,
We don't, because we work. No, I'm teasing you.
I worked for 48 years. I've earned my retirement. Okay, really, and I used it on James and I've used it on Olivia. When you see them doing something you like, praise them. You know, that just lights up their world. It just, poor little James thinks Olivia's the free spirit. James is the methodical, you know, I think he's going to be some kind of like electrical engineer because he wants to know everything, got to have all his ducks in a row. If he's doing something new, he needs to know what's the outcome and everything like this. She was playing at preschool and she was hanging upside down on the monkey bars or something, and she didn't have like shorts on. She just said, he's trying to hook her dress up.
Oh.
The teacher was saying, maybe Olivia, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna take care of my sister. She's showing her underwear, you know. So, I mean, and, you know, and when he does something that I see he's doing really, I'll say, oh, James, that was so nice of you. Thank you so much for being so sensitive and compassionate to your sister. And so I think that just spurs them on to want to do more. So.
We're out of time.
One thing though I gotta say.
We are out of time.
We are out of
way
time. We gotta
past
pick up
time.
our babies. We have a lot more questions, so maybe we'll get to do this another time, but thank you. Thank you.